And that's what I want people to hear from this is it doesn't matter where you are in a company. You could be the warehouse guy that sweeps the floor. Mm-hmm. You have the opportunity to set a standard. I'm going to sweep this floor the best possible way that I can.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe you're packing boxes at a company. I'm going to pack these boxes the best, perfect way every single time. It's not up to Andy to come tell me how to do this. It's up to me to set the standard. And you know what's going to happen is if I'm setting that standard, I'm packing the boxes perfectly, my teammate Tyler's going to see that.
Right.
He's going to start holding himself to a higher standard. And then Darren's going to do the same thing. Right? So it doesn't matter. Don't leave it up to the boss to be setting this standard.
So your boys here just got back from the Darren Woodson Show field trip number 2. And we're not here just to say, hey, we had this fun trip. We're going to talk about our trip because this trip was different. We had expectations that we were hoping for, and we're really excited. It was a really great opportunity. But the lessons I think that we learned while there were incredible. And it was something that we just felt like we needed to share today. So by the time this airs, it would have been about a week and a half ago that we went up to St. Louis, Missouri, and visited the First Phorm headquarters. If you follow First Phorm at all, anywhere on social media, or Andy Frisella or Sal Frisella,
it's probably a better phrase who doesn't follow First Phorm.
That's you've seen posts about this headquarters. And you've seen how incredible it is in the gym. I mean, Tia she did a whole deal, and we're gonna have her on here coming soon about the weight room and the locker room, and it's incredible to look at from a social media perspective. But what you can't grasp through your phone or on your computer is the amount of detail that they've put into that, the amount of blood, sweat, and tears that it's taken Andy to build that over 20 years. And then the standard that they hold not only that building to, but their employees, their family, anybody that comes through there. It is absolutely next level. So today we're going to talk through some of the lessons that we learned. We had a blast getting on RealAF, talking with that crew. We had a great time. I mean, obviously, highlight was Big Reg. I mean, Big Reg.
Man, I feel so bad, man. To this day, I feel so bad.
Walk us through the whole story.
All right,
walk us through this one scenario, and then we'll get back to the deal.
Okay, so when we arrived at First Phorm, Andy didn't greet us. DJ walked up, and DJ is Andy Frisella's security bodyguard, however you want to call it. But he took us on a tour. So he met us at the front, got us all checked in, and then he led us on a tour around the entire facility.
This took us like an hour, over an hour. And it was probably the best tour I've ever had, man. He, in depth, talked about, the structure and, the construction and how long the building had been up, and walked us through the whole process and the locker room and every little bit. I mean, he gave us as much historical value as you could give anyone. Which we didn't know that he was Andy's private security, until the very end of the tour.
Exactly.
I thought he was a First Phorm employee.
I thought so as well. So we go through this whole tour, and I'll just cut through it. We go through this whole tour, and we spent an hour and maybe an hour and some change with DJ. And we get on the show, and and we're talking on the show, and Andy's
talk about the bathroom that you meant to, what you meant to ask.
Okay, so before we walk into the studio, to the podcast, before we walk in there, I go to the bathroom, and I'm in there, and I'm like, damn, I can't remember. I can't remember his name. I kept on thinking, I thought in my mind it was DJ, and I was like, no, it's Reggie. I'm pretty sure it's Reggie. So Tyler is freaking phenomenal with names. So Tyler's walking into the restroom. I'm walking out, and I meant to ask Ty. I was like, hey, Ty, it's Reggie, right? But I was going to ask him, and then DJ was actually behind Tyler. So I couldn't ask, and I was like, oh, shit. Well, I'm good. It's Reggie.
Yeah,
it's Reggie. So we go in. So we go into the podcast room, Everyone's sitting in there. DJ's in there. Everybody, Andy, Sal, us three. And the show gets going on. And I just wanted to thank him. Like, the show starts, man. All I could think about was, I need to thank this dude, man. Because he did such an awesome job. And I start off, and I'm like, you guys could probably describe it better, because I went dark there.
Yeah, so he turns, and a very genuine, and we were thanking Andy and Sal for having us there, and they went over the top and, like, did research on our families and give us. So Darren, like, this really, like, heartfelt thank you, and he turns to DJ, and he's like, not only does he call him Big Reg, but it goes a little something like this. Man, and I just got to thank you, and I want to make sure I get your name right, Reg. So he called it out that he wanted to make sure he got his name right.
And got it completely wrong.
And you two son of a bitches threw me right under the bus, too. I mean, there was no saving me. It was just like drown.
But the greatest part about that was that was probably the funniest thing in the entire podcast, but it made the podcast. And so following up, like, we had a great time, and he laughed it off. He's a good sport. And he actually went back and changed his Instagram handle to DJ, a.k.a. Big Reggie.
But he got me in the end. At the end of the show, he ended up getting me in the end. I'll let you guys listen to the show. You guys just take a listen to it.
Go listen to that episode. It's it's great. We cover an array of topics, and it was so much fun talking to them and the experience that Andy's got, and the leadership and organization that Sal has really helped create as the president of First Phorm was incredible. But go listen to that, RealAF. And it's what one man can do, all men can do.
Right.
Is the name of the show, and Darren, Woodson, and crew. And so go listen to that. It's a really good episode. But let's go back. We had Andy Frisella on our podcast a few months back. It was middle of COVID. I think wasn't it like last fall, wasn't it?
No, I think it was probably summertime.
So summertime, and we walked through his journey of high school football, and then he and his buddy opened up a supplement store at like 19, 20 years old.
If you haven't heard that show, you got to go back and listen to that show. It was probably one of our best shows that we had.
Just to appreciate the amount of work that he put in, the adversity that he overcame, just the resilience, right? And that resilience manifested itself into what First Phorm is today, because he talks about the attention to detail, the attention to every single customer, and the importance that it is and why that is. But then also, and again, we'll dig into all these topics, but why he went through those things. There's so many times in our life that we don't understand why we're going through the hard times. Right. We don't understand why the brakes are going for everyone else, and it's not going for me, and this is just too hard, and I'm just unlucky, and I'm just not meant to be successful because times are hard. But you hear a story like that, you hear that, no, like, I'm being prepared for something.
Right.
For me, God is preparing me to do something through those hard times. And you have to really look at those, especially when you're in it. If you can recognize it, if you could recognize and say, I'm going through these hard times, good.
Right.
Because I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Like, have that be energy bringing, right? And that's Andy's story is exactly that. I mean, 10 years making $600 a month.
Yeah.
For 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And I mean this with all due respect, of course. I don't know what moron would go through 10 years of six. And he says it himself. He's like, I may not be very smart, but I don't quit.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's what he applied for 10 years before.
But I want to ask you this question, because you were the one who drug up, Andy Frisella, because, honestly, I didn't know who Andy Frisella was. And Ben kept on telling me, hey, we need to get this guy on the podcast. I got this. What made you, what was the reason why you wanted to reach out?
Yeah, not to make too long of a story out of it, but I started listening to podcasts in general, probably 2016, 17, somewhere in there. And at the time, Andy had a very successful podcast called MF CEO Project. And it was basically a business podcast just for young entrepreneurs. And I honestly don't remember how I started listening to it or why, but I found it at one point. And you guys know I have a garage home gym. And so every morning when I'm working out, I put on MF CEO. I just loved his style. I loved his message. It aligned really well with a lot of my values that I try to carry and have. But it also taught me a lot just about how to conduct yourself. I was new to the business world. I was new to, this was post-football. And so it was almost like he was a mentor of mine without ever even knowing it.
Right.
And then obviously his story was unbelievable. I'd never heard anything like that before.
Right.
10 years, $600. That just doesn't even make sense why you would keep doing that. So all that, you put that all in a pot and then just realize just what all he went through to get to where he is today.
Right.
And, going back to the being up there, all of us, we spend every day in a warehouse. Like we're in warehouses all the time.
Right.
And so from the outside, like it's nothing crazy. I mean, it just looks like your typical
industrial building.
Yeah, new industrial warehouse. But you walk in, man, and that first thing you see, that what's the lobby?
Porsche.
I guess.
It was the Porsche.
The welcome. They've got a Porsche sitting there to the right. And just the build out, not to get too jargony, but the build out was just unreal.
Yeah. But it wasn't that. What got me initially was walking in and we're in the check-in. And the attention to detail, like they knew who we were when we showed up. Like you always say, know who you're talking to, know your customers, know your employees or whatnot. But we walk in and I'm looking through this glass door and it's like a conference room. And I see this picture of me and my wife. So our wedding picture. Yeah. And they got this loop running of all of us, our wives, our families, and there's just picture after picture. And that's what got me the first time because I was like, man, first of all, how the hell did they get these pictures? Secondly, they knew how exactly the buttons to push when we walked in. So
they've thought of everything.
Well, and so let's marinate there, and we can bring up some more examples through this tour and through the whole experience out there. But one of the things that I am learning in the commercial real estate space and working with companies is if you can make your prospective client or your client feel like the most important person in the world, then there's the secret sauce, right? Because they're going to want that feeling. We all love talking about ourselves. That's why we started a podcast, right? We love talking about ourselves. That's it. Like we don't really care about making anybody better. We just want to talk about ourselves. I'm just kidding, totally. But if you have the ability to do that, and immediately he accomplished that because it was a picture of and it's weird. Like I joked about it on the show. It was kind of creepy because they pulled my favorite pictures, like the twins fishing, my son in a cowboy hat, my daughter in pigtails. Like that's literally my favorite picture, and they pulled that one somehow.
It was scary,
and it wasn't on mine. Yeah. It wasn't on my Instagram. It was on my wife's, whose is private. And so it's like they really went deep into it, but the feeling that I got was like, dang. Like there's so many times, and it doesn't matter. And Darren, you've been at the highs of the highs, but so many times us as individuals, we just feel insignificant.
Yeah.
Whether you're, Dak Prescott signing a, $400 million deal,
contract,
or you're anybody else. It doesn't matter. There's times that we just feel insignificant. And if you can give that feeling to a customer, that is something that can't be replicated. And that creates immediate loyalty. I think about it, right? And like I was a supplement guy for a long time. And I may use other supplement companies through the rest of my life, and I like other supplement companies. But guess what? I'm going to be an advocate for them my entire life.
Yeah,
just by that experience.
They got us hooked. Yeah.
Well, and we're talking about the first 10 feet of our tour.
Yeah.
That they already hit us with this. You hear about customer, loyalty and doing the right thing and all that. But they nailed it on a level I've never seen before. I've never seen anything like that.
That's right.
So that's when you first walk in. The second thing you notice is just how clean everything is.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, just you could eat off the floor. You hear that expression? You could eat off the floors in there. And so again, we've walked into warehouses all the time, but the office was just immaculate. I mean, just unbelievable how clean everything was.
So talk about it's clean. And talk about why it's clean.
Well, I was going to say that. Then you walk in the bathrooms, and I've been
Oh, he's
chomping at the bit.
Oh my God! I bet you.
Hey, I got it teed up. So get ready.
You got it.
Oh, I got it
Yeah,
teed
I'm
up
sure
ready.
you got a rebuttal.
Yeah, go.
I'm sure you got a
Hey,
rebuttal.
please go.
No, go ahead.
Please go.
There's no rebuttal here. It's the truth.
I don't know how many times we've brought this up, more than people care to hear.
Yeah, everybody always talks about it.
But the paper towel argument. I'm a big advocate. You pick up paper towels in the bathroom. And you guys are not.
And no, we appreciate that about you. We appreciate that. You know what else I appreciate is let's talk about St. Louis when we got into the airport. Let's talk about when we went to the bathroom.
Now, airports are off limits.
You just changed, huh?
I will say
that's
nine times.
2 for 2 on trips. 2 for 2.
It always happens in the airport.
Both airports. I'd say 9 times out of 10 I do it. Airport is that one time.
Okay, so you're telling me.
Let's get back.
Stadiums are in play, but airports are not.
I haven't been to a stadium in a while, so we'll to be determined.
Okay.
No, but anyway,
talk about the
back
bathroom.
to it. So we go to the bathroom, and again, they had told us, "Hey, we don't have a cleaning crew here.
Right.
It's up to you to keep the bathroom clean." And so I thought, "Hell yeah, the bathroom's gonna be clean." No, I'm talking. There were no water stains anywhere.
Right.
There were no piss stains anywhere. Yeah. There was no toilet paper. There was no paper towel. It was like somebody comes in every 5 minutes and cleans this thing up.
Right.
So I'm sitting there washing my hands, and literally I'm grabbing paper towels, wiping everything. I probably wasted tons of trees, wiping everything down because I didn't want to leave the bathroom.
Yeah. It kept you on your toes, though,
exactly.
right?
But and we're going to get to that in a minute. The point is they have a standard.
Yeah.
And everybody understands that standard. Right. And if you don't, guess what? You're out of here.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what we saw that held you to the standard. You saw that part of it, right? The cleanliness and the fact that.
Well, and just how everybody greeted you with a smile and a hello.
See, that's what got. To me, it was not only the cleanliness, but it was the fact that people looked you in the eyes. Mm-hmm. And I made mention on the show, like, I don't know if I've ever been in a location where everyone's in shape. Like, there were Neanderthals walking around in that building, man. Yeah. I mean, the dudes in that building were like 6'3", 6'5", in great shape. And even the smaller guys, everyone was in great shape. Guys, girls, everyone. And they carried themselves like professionals. Like, if you are a business owner, I don't care what you're doing. If you're a business owner, you need to go.
Yes. Find a way into that headquarters.
Call Sal. Sal, I'm throwing your number out there. I'm about to put your number out. Call Sal. Find a way to get into that building because their culture speaks to exactly who they are as a company. Mm-hmm. Like, they got me as far as First Phorm and their supplements. They do it everything they do is the right way. So I know they're not cutting corners. They're not cutting corners with what they're selling or pushing out there as far as products are concerned. They got me because I walked in that door and I saw how they acted, how they reacted to things, and the discipline. It's like the discipline that you need for your company. I have 2 companies. I want both those companies to go out there and see.
And you know why, right? And they said it on the show, but the reason why is within their culture, they've created ownership in every single employee. Some of them had been there 2 weeks. Some of them had been there 20 years and everything in between. But they created ownership. So our facilities are going to be perfect because it's important to me. Mm-hmm. It's not because I have to do it. Yes, I have to do it. But guess what? Being a part of this team is more important to me than not lining my weight up right or not wiping down the bathroom sink or not having the warehouse floor be completely perfect. It's because the leadership team, the executive team has created a sense of ownership in every single person in that building. That comes to fitness. Mm-hmm. I mean, right? I represent a brand and I'm a part of a brand and I'm going to represent it. Everything that I do in my day and in my life is going to represent that. And so business owners out there, whether you're just starting a small company or you've got a larger company or anybody in a leadership position, if you can empower your team to feel like they have an ownership in it, and that comes with a lot of conversations.
Absolutely.
That comes with a lot of like leaders getting side by side with their team and making them feel like, hey, I've got you, I've got your back. There's a lot of elements that like obviously we can't cover in one show, but if you can create a culture that enables your employees, and I say employees, to have ownership stake in the company, not equity position,
right?
Ownership, right? Yeah. They own the brand and they own the product that people see.
Look, here's my problem. I can't get my son to clean his damn room. Like, I'm serious. I looked at this and now, how many employees were walking around?
220 something now. Yeah.
And they're all on the same page. I can't get one child to pick up after himself, right? Like, to me, that was like, and trying to get the mindset to teach someone how to do this, because that's not easy. That's not overnight, man. Yeah. That's a process that they went through.
And we're going to talk about that here in a minute, about anybody in the organization can set the standard. It's not just up to leadership. It's up to everybody. But I think part of the magic, talk about 220-something employees, and I may be misstating, but it's a significant percentage, I think 30% of their employees are former and current customers.
Yes.
I mean, they're all use the products, but meaning
that's how they found them.
That's how they found it. They were customers first. Mm-hmm. They loved it so much they decided to go and be employees. So that's part of the buy-in right there.
And these are people that are picking up their lives to move to St. Louis.
Right. Yeah.
And look, I'm not going to be negative about anything, but
you are. Here you go. I'm
going to leave it at this. I'm going to leave it at this.
Don't do it, Tom.
I'm going to leave it at this.
We got a lot of fans in St. Louis. Watch out what you say.
No. Is that is a testament for someone to pick up their lives, move to St. Louis to say, hey, I'm going to pursue a career with Phorm because it's that important.
I was sitting there thinking, like, all right, can I legitimately move to can I move my family to St. Couis to be a part of this?
What was the actual conversation we had?
The thoughts in my head were like,
salary that someone has to pay me?
How do I get here? No, but I think there's so much gold in that part, that aspect of it, that former customers are turning into employees, because that's probably, Darren, you correct me if I'm wrong, as a business owner, the hardest thing is employee retention.
Yes.
And that's the most expensive thing.
Yeah.
And if you're converting people who already believe in the brand and love it, and it's transformed, and it's not an overstatement to say it's transformed their lives, you don't have to get much buy-in once you let them in the door.
Yeah.
They're already bought in.
Yeah, they're bought in, but there's still, a cadence that you have to apply. There's still a learning curve that you have to do and teach your employees. But at the same time, when I looked at who they were, I looked at the Cowboys as well. Like, I could honestly watch how the Jones family has taken on a brand and elevated that brand because they've had so many people buy into it. And Tyler, you and I, we've been around the Cowboys organization for years. I mean, 20-some years. There were people that are still working for the Cowboys organization before I even got here, 30, 40 years ago, and aren't making a whole lot of money.
No. Jerry doesn't overpay.
He doesn't overpay. They bought into it.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do, man. It really is. And there's something special about, the Cowboys brand, of course, but I haven't seen that outside of there. Close to it was, I went and did and I told you guys this, I went and spoke at a deal for Tito's a couple years ago, and sort of the same feel. I wasn't at their location. I was at a hotel, and I did a speaking engagement there, but when they showed up, their culture was strong. Yeah. They looked you in the eye. Everybody was in shape. They, very confident. And that's the same feel I had when I walked in the first Phorm. That situation just blew me away.
Yeah. So you go through the warehouse, and again, floors. We were in warehouse. The floors are never that clean. No. I mean, this floor was spotless. And then you walk into the weight room, and this weight room was bigger than any weight room you've seen. It had a full basketball.
It was nicer than any NFL weight room.
Oh, by far,
ever been in.
By far. But the carryover, and why I bring that up, every weight had the logo.
Yeah.
Every weight plate had the Phorm logo. And they have a rule that every single logo has to line up north and south perfectly. Mm. If you leave it slightly off, you get a 30-day suspension. If you do it again, you're terminated. Mm. So they have a clear set of rules of, hey, this is how you do it. And there is no deviation. There is no, you're out of here if you don't.
Is it easy to say? Is it easy to say that working at First Phorm is not for everyone?
No chance.
It's no chance, right? There's no way.
You have to be a certain individual to.
Yeah, and what is that? What kind of individual do you think that is?
Somebody that picks up paper towels.
You for
Sell
sure.
yourself, Ben.
Sal, Andy, I am for sale. Just kidding.
But I think it's someone that is self-motivated, but also I think it's just they're empowered.
Yeah.
Right? They feel important. They feel a part of a family. They feel like there's a purpose bigger than themselves. It's more than just the hourly wage that they get and they take home, or it's more than the salary that they're on. It's they're creating and building something that is going to impact people.
Yeah.
And every product, every company, you have that opportunity. You know, whether you create the little piss pads in the toilets, or you create some sort of technology. You have the ability to impact people in a certain way, and it's how you do it. And you talked about Tito's, and what's similar to First Phorm is that you could tell people just loved being there.
Yeah, they did.
Create a culture that people love to be there. I mean, they were talking about we had to shut it down, the gym, at 11 o'clock because people would be here till 2 a.m.
Yeah. What other company, people want to hang out till 2 a.m.?
I mean, whether they're working, whatever, but that's a culture that you look at and it's like, okay, it can be done.
Yeah.
And that's what, and another thing that we talked about on the show was celebrating other people's victories, right? Yeah. Very easily, we could have walked through that place and be like, man, it must be nice, man. These millionaires, they got a supplement company, whatever.
Fell into this.
Whatever.
They just fell into this joint.
I wish I had a place like this, whatever. These guys, I mean, they're probably slinging drugs on the side, very easily could have said something like that.
Yeah.
But I think the three of us are on the same page, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
It can be done.
Yeah.
How do we do it? How do we soak up knowledge to create a brand like this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, a week and a half later, my feet have barely just now touched the ground. It was inspiring walking through that place. And then we get to the special bathroom. And I don't know what y'all's thoughts were, because this was the last part of the tour. And he said, hey, I want to show you guys this bathroom. And I don't know what y'all's first thought was. My first thought was, he wants to show us a bathroom. That's weird. Mm-hmm. And we walk in there, and what do we see?
The locker room with all our stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. They built out, basically it was like a small college locker room, like the nicest lockers. But we look up, and what do we see? 3 lockers with our last name on it. And they are full, not only of supplements, but of stuff that we each 3 specifically enjoy.
Right.
There was a Brazil jersey hanging in mine. There was a duck call hanging in Tyler's. They had, just like they had done at the very beginning, research pictures, they had gone back through, I guess through our Instagram. I don't know how they found out this information.
Crazy.
They had my favorite ice cream sitting in my locker. It was, and again, we talked about this. I'm not a super emotional guy, but literally seeing that got me emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it showed how much they cared about each end. I get it if they did something like that for you, Darren.
Right.
There's no reason to do anything like that for me.
It's the reason to do that
yet
for any
they
of
did
us.
that.
Yeah, they did.
And it was unreal.
And back to the point, how you make somebody feel is going to last a whole lot longer than what you can do for somebody.
Yeah. So is it how you make someone, honestly, let's dig into this, because is it how you make someone else feel, or how you make yourself feel, that allows you to make someone else feel that way? There's got to be a point, there's no way if Sal and Andy didn't, were just slobs and they just didn't give a damn or didn't respect people, that's not what, we're not going to see that.
No.
We're not going to see that come to fruition. So, I know we always start with, we talk about how things look and, how people react, but it starts up top, man. It starts with the people who put it in place. So there's got to be a certain discipline for the individual that holds, you have to hold yourself to a certain standard, one, and then you can teach from that platform. But if you can't hold yourself to that standard, you're going to, your workplace, your culture is going to be sloppy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's because they've both been through the fire.
Yeah.
Right? Andy, obviously, his story, we told his story, go back and listen to it. Sal playing minor league ball for years and years.
We're going to have him on.
And taking a huge risk, leaving a good corporate job to go this small supplement company. And they've been through it, so they can show empathy, right? They can show empathy for other people, and they can say, okay, like, I want to make someone feel this because I've gone through it. Right. And I want to lift someone up. I want to help someone get to where they want to go.
Right.
And everything that they do, because you're right, they have to feel good enough about themselves. They can say, no. Instead of like, calling this company or trying to get new business here or create this, it's like, no, let's take care of our people.
Right.
But then 2, let's take care of our customers.
And it's also, you know what else it is, man? And I'll say this. It's like it's what you will accept and what you will not accept as well.
Yeah, that's
right. And the standard starts with that. Like if you're going to bring someone in and you're like, well, he's got a little attitude, we can work with him. Maybe if he's on the fence, you're just not going to bring him in. It's like I don't give a damn if he's a superstar or she's a superstar. If she's not going to fit into your mold and who you are, then you got to get rid of them. It's almost like the Belichick way of running an organization. Yeah. If you want the best and if you want to be elite, then there's certain things you're going to have to say, I don't give a damn what kind of star that just walked in the door, what kind of person they are, or how many sales they have. If they don't fit the culture, then they don't fit the team. Mm-hmm. And that's where it starts, man. So I'm a firm believer. Like, I left that place, and I know I looked at you a couple of times like, man, my wheels were turning. My wheels are turning about this podcast. My wheels are turned about business altogether to think, don't accept the bullshit. Mm-hmm. Don't accept it.
Well, it's like parenting.
Yeah.
It's hard to hold your kids to a standard on a consistent basis. When you say, okay, I want to raise my children this way, I want to teach them these lessons, I need to hold them accountable and discipline them this time. It's really freaking hard at 4:00 in the afternoon for a mom after she's been with them all day and she's getting ready to make dinner and they're whining and crying and not listening. It's really hard it's really easy to say, okay, just throw on Netflix or throw on YouTube and just watch it. Just get out of the way. As a father, it's really hard if you agree with spanking, which I do, and I think that physical discipline is a part of it in a loving way, but it's really hard when you're on spank number 3 or 4 with your son and he continues to be disrespectful. Yeah. It's really hard to spank him next time.
You ain't really putting it on his ass. That's the problem, Ty.
Yeah, dude.
You got to put it on. You got to lean on him a little bit. You put that fullback on him.
Where's that belt, boy?
Hey, I just haven't found a spoon strong enough, fellas. Keep going through them things. But it's hard. It's really hard. And it's so, especially in our generation as parents and even maybe one before, we've relaxed on it.
Yes.
Right? And we've just been like, it's just easier. Either I'll have a nanny or I'll have the TV or I'll have the computer do my job, take the time that I should be investing into them. But here's the deal. The ones that stay consistent with it, the ones that pour in and go through those hard times, guess what? It does get easier. As opposed to getting harder when you have it easier on the front end. It's the same thing with the company. If you set a standard and you're convicted enough to hold your team accountable, and by holding people accountable, that means getting rid of the bad apples. Exactly. That means get rid of the cancer when it's time.
But you know what it is also, man, is like in business, you a lot of people always, there's times, even in football or in business, you may have 10 people that are working for you. 9 of those 10 people are going to do it the right way. But then there's that one. There's that one who sucks up your damn time because you, like you said, not only do I have to tap you on the hand once, but I got to call you in the office and I got to call you in the office, and it's over and over again. You know how much time is wasted on one person when you have 9 others? Mm-hmm. That's an energy suck.
But what's the fear? Right? Again, the easy route is I'm just going to deal with it.
Yes.
As opposed to, I've got to replace him, or I got to put his work on someone else, put the burden on them, and it's really hard to find good labor right now. But you know what? That temporary pain that you're going to have to go through is going to provide like a ton of longevity of success.
Yeah.
Because, again, you're convicted about it, and there is a standard, and if you do not fit the standard, you do not belong here. And that's hard for our culture to hear these days, because we all feel like we belong there. Right. And it's my right to be here, and you can't tell me to leave. I mean, think about all the lawsuits, wrongful termination, this, that, he wasn't justified, all these things, right? And it's hard for employers because employers, I get it, it's scary. It's like, I'm putting my business at risk if I let someone go because really they're just not a fit for our culture. Yeah. They can come back and they have recourse against me. And that's unfortunate. But I'll tell you, seeing it in person at First Phorm, I mean, what did he say? I'm nuking people.
Yeah.
I'm nuking people.
The first thing he said when he walked
in. And Andy, if you haven't listened to RealAF or MFCEO, it's very colorful language. I mean, I know Darren here is our
resident customer,
is our potty mouth. but I mean, he has a great point, and he has a standard. And if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. With kids, back to the parenting analogy, kids crave discipline.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
true. If you are consistent with it, because here's the deal: is they all love. I mean, Andy and Sal, although they're not much older than me. They love them like dads. Yeah. They're that father figure to them. And kids, when you can be consistent and you feel like, okay, there's a reason that I'm doing this. I am going to be better because of this. It's really hard for kids to see. But guess what? On the other side, they appreciate it. And now you have created someone that can go be successful on their own.
Yeah. We need to do a podcast on kids because there's
we will.
We need to do an episode because there's a lot to that. Like, there's a lot of meat on that bone because half the time we're just too damn lazy.
Yeah,
we're just too lazy. We don't want to get up and tear their asses up sometimes. It's just that's the reality. Going back to Andy, I think the conversation is his episode or his show with RealAF.
No, Real Andy Frisella.
No, Wolves. Dude, he is as real. He and Sal are as real as they get, man. They ain't holding back. The language is what it is because that's who they are. The language doesn't stop. Like outside of the podcast, you think that that's a script or he's, this is a character. That is not. That is him. Yeah. And that's what makes that group so special because they're just who they are. They're original.
Right. Something I want to apply to most of our listeners probably aren't business leaders, I would say for the most part. So how could this apply to you? Let's bring it back to that. Yeah. You talked about something earlier, 9 out of your 10 employees. What First Phorm does and what you hope as a company you do is those 9 are going to bring up that 10th.
Right. Yeah.
It's not just up to the business leader to bring up that 10th. It's up to those other 9 too. And that's what I want people to hear from this is it doesn't matter where you are in a company. You could be the warehouse guy that sweeps the floor. You have the opportunity to set a standard. I'm going to sweep this floor the best possible way that I can.
Right.
Maybe you're packing boxes at a company. I'm going to pack these boxes the best, perfect way every single time. It's not up to Andy to come tell me how to do this. It's up to me to set the standard. And you know what's going to happen is if I'm setting that standard, I'm packing the boxes perfectly, my teammate Tyler's going to see that. Right. He's going to start holding himself to a higher standard. And then Darren's going to do the same thing. Right? So it doesn't matter. Don't leave it up to the boss to be setting this standard. They have to do that. That's Andy walks the walk for sure. But for most of us, and myself included, I'm not a business leader. It's up to me to set a standard.
That's right.
I can't wait for you to hold my hand, Darren. I've got to come and show up every single day and set the standard myself. Yeah. True. Because guess what? Other people around me are going to feed off of that.
That's right.
People below me are going to feed off of that. People above me. So don't wait on somebody else to set a standard for you. You set the standard.
It's the Tom Brady effect. Yeah. Shows up every day, lunch pail in hand, works his ass off, and the shit rolls downhill. Yeah. Like they see it.
And here's the thing, and they said it. Our goal is to get them to police themselves. So we don't have to go in. And that's exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly right. You don't have to, if you're part of the 9 and there's a 10th that's not pulling his weight, guess what? we can go in and we can have a conversation. We can police ourselves. Hey, I'm going to remind you what the standard is that we all take ownership in, and we are going to go actually work on this together. And look, there's times that people are just not right for that.
That's right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't make you less of a person. It's okay. But you know what? Like, if you are a part of the team, if you believe in the mission that you're on, that you can police yourselves. And that's the goal. As a leader, we don't have the ability to say, okay, what does Jocko say? How many people can they actually manage at a time? Can one human?
2.
Well, no more than 6.
6. Yeah.
No more than
close.
6.
I was 5, you were 2.
6.
Usually, I thought for sure. I thought I was setting you up right there. I just lobbed that one in for you. But you cannot manage more than 6 people. And how the Navy SEALs are structured, right, is there's tiers. And people take care of their 6 people, because a CEO of a 2,000 person company cannot manage the 2,000th person, right? And so take the ownership within, and you don't have to be in a leadership position. You could be, like you said, in the lowest position, and you can set the standard and hold everyone else accountable as well.
Yeah. I mean, think about back to the bathroom example. I'm sitting there scrubbing things down. I'm not even an employee at the company, but there's such a strong standard set. I don't want to be the guy that screws it up. I don't want to walk out of there in the bathroom and be dirty. So maybe you're finding yourself in a position where, man, I'm just flipping burgers. It's not that big of a deal. Like I'm a burger flipper.
Yeah.
Well, you be the best damn burger flipper at McDonald's. And then maybe next week, Andy talks about it, maybe next week they'll graduate to the fries.
Right.
And then you be the best fry cook in the damn company.
Yeah.
And you just keep setting yourself up. If you set the standard yourself, like I said, don't have somebody hold your hand throughout the process.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done, and was so impressive to me. Was every single person. Now, again, I'm sure they've had to fire people along the way.
Absolutely.
There's no way they're going to.
There's cameras throughout. There's cameras throughout that building,
because there's not a good employee tree. They just go pluck the best employees.
Yeah.
Like they have to vet those out.
Yeah.
But the point is, the majority of the people there really want to be their number one, and number 2, they're taking ownership of themselves.
Okay, so let's go back here, because what was the most impressive thing you saw at First Phorm and on our trip?
Think the level of customer awareness that they have. They literally have teams that just write handwritten notes.
That's what I was going
to say.
Yeah,
we all
same thing.
Like the ability.
Elaborate on that if people aren't aware.
Yeah. So they literally have a team.
And by the way, we're talking. They do 30,000 orders a day. 30,000 units are shipped out of that warehouse a day. Continue.
So every single order has a handwritten thank you card.
And we're not talking general, like,
appreciation
standard, note. It's if you've ever ordered from First Phorm, it's a personalized note.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so they have people there. But also, too, customer service, typically they put out fires, right? Mm-hmm. What was really interesting, I don't know if you guys caught this, is they have offensive and defensive customer service. Their defensive customer service is much smaller. There was only one row of cubicles. Mm-hmm. And those are taking
I forgot about that's a
inbound issues that they have. On the other side, twice as many people is offensive. Hey, I want to check in with you. I want to see how your order was. Are you satisfied? Is there anything else that we can get you? Hey, we also have this app that's a free resource for you. I mean, they're offensive. Like, think about if you get a call, the old school, right? It's dinner time. You get a call. Hi, I'm with so-and-so. I'm not selling anything. I just want to make sure you bought something from us previously. You're like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
And they're actually taking care of issues before it happens.
Yeah.
Before they go give a bad review, right? The Yelp review or whatever, right? You're proactive about it. So they're more concerned, instead of like fixing problems, is making sure that everything is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Focus on the positive as opposed to the negative.
You know, that the handwritten notes were, in my mind, just blew me away. And it's something that, like, how many guests have we had on this show?
A lot.
Yeah. We're going to look, they're doing 30,000 letters. We got, that's changed. That's going to, we can't write a damn letter. One. Yeah, we can't, but that's, in my mind, that's where I'm going. I mean, that's
right.
Like, it affected me that much to say, okay, we need to personalize this in all my business. Yeah. You're getting a handwritten note. Okay. Secondly was when COVID hit, everything shut down and they were scared. They even admitted, they were like, we don't know what the hell was going to happen with COVID. Right. but they didn't sit on their damn hands. They didn't play defense. They played offense. What did they do? They went out and they got all the rooms virtually ready, right? All the Zoom cameras. You know what I mean? They did research to understand, like, we're going to stay in front of this. We're not going to batten down the hatches and shelter ourselves. They played offense. And when you're moving forward, that's always a positive. Don't step back.
Yeah, you guys stole two of the ones, so I'll pick a different one. To me, the attention to detail, we talked about the cleanliness, but the attention to detail from the standpoint of, if you notice, they had that big American flag in the warehouse, and they also have a big American flag in their weight room.
Right.
And they said that the square footage of those two flags is the exact same size as their first store they ever opened.
Yeah.
So that's one detail. The other detail, they said, if you were to go up 5,000 feet high in a helicopter and look down on their warehouse, their racking was in the shape of the American flag.
Yeah.
So it's little details like that. And then we talked about the weight room lining up. So that's what stuck out to me, was just they've thought of everything.
Yeah.
There's not one aspect of the business that they haven't touched or thought about.
Yeah.
And that was impressive. Very impressive.
I agree that the racking was really cool. The flags were awesome. One of the things, though, that I would say that I look at specifically with the Frisellas. I don't know Chris, their other partner as well. Great guy. We got to meet him too. Yeah. But what I love about them is that they understand that conflict is okay.
Right. Yeah.
Disagreeing is okay.
His dad walked in.
Yeah.
And it was like, you knew where it came from.
That was an HR nightmare.
But it's okay, right? I mean, they talk about the disagreements between Sal and Andy, who are brothers, right?
Getting in a
fight, right?
Yeah.
Literal
fist fights.
Literally. But the fact is he doesn't shy away from the adversity. He doesn't shy away from the conflict, because he's more concerned with being honest and transparent, because you can never go wrong being honest.
Yeah.
And I struggle with this, right? Because I want to please people. I want to make sure that everybody's happy. So I'll shy away from conflict so that I don't upset somebody. To me, they're like, no, we're just going to hit it on the head. Either it's going to work or it doesn't. But guess what? We're not dragging this thing out anymore. And that's the Italian in them. My wife has the same thing. It's like, no, look, we're going to address this now. This isn't going to linger on. We're going to talk about it. We're going to fight about it. And then we're going to love each other on the other side of it and move on.
You can love each other through it.
That's right.
That's right. Love, man.
And they get that. And I really do respect them for that.
But it comes back to that flag. Where was that flag at that was in the Civil War?
That was
flag?
in Andy's office.
That was in Andy's office, right? And to me, this is where it just all came in, and I totally understood. That flag was a flag that they, said that they got that was in the Civil War. And on that flag, what was on that flag?
Blood.
There was blood on that flag, man. You don't get to where you are unless there's been some type of sweat, blood, tears on you. And that flag spoke to who First Phorm was, man. I'm telling you, if you're listening today, if you can do it, they need, Big Reg.
They need to make some money off these tours.
DJ needs to do the tours.
Yeah.
DJ just needs to set up his own business to do the tours of First Phorm, like the Cowboys are doing at their facilities, man. Seriously. Because there's so much there, man. There's so many lessons to be learned. Just through a visitation.
We talked about our coworker Damien. He and I were talking about this, and he's like, "How can we get our entire company up there?" So seriously, if you're a business owner, you need to find a way to either go up there or do your research on First Phorm, because they are doing it the right way. As we wrap it up, question for you guys: taking away from that trip, what are you going to apply either to your personal life or your business life or your family life, whatever you want to apply it to? Yeah. What are you going to apply? What lesson are you going to apply based on that trip?
So I know mine for sure. We talked about it. I mean, we talked about all the level of detail, customer appreciation, all that. What I loved, something that Andy said while we were there. He said, when you wake up knowing that it's going to be hard every day and it's going to be an all-out war every day, that's when you can start to make progress. When you accept that it's going to be hard always, that's when you can make progress, because that's when you're not surprised by a bad day. It doesn't ruin you. You just keep pushing forward. If you're expecting it, think about it. If you're like, okay, hey, I got to fill B gap because we got this game up front. I know I'm coming downhill. I may have to take a fullback on, but I know I'm taking a 220-pound running back on for sure.
Right.
I know it's coming. It's never bad. I mean, it's never good.
Yeah.
But you know that it's coming, and guess what? You attack at full speed. That's when you win.
Right.
And I love that they said that, because to me, when you just realize that it's going to be hard and the pursuit never ends, you're never going to reach that end point. And you're just, hey, this is part of it. I'm just going to keep grinding. That's when you can actually start to enjoy the grind.
Go ahead, D.
You know, I think it was that conversation we had on the show in which, and you and I have had the same conversation, and you've always asked me, when does it end, man? I mean, when does it end? Like, you reach the pinnacle, and then after you reach the pinnacle, do you just lay it down and go play golf every day and whatnot? And during that show, he said something. I know it stuck with you because I've said it to you before, but evidently your friend's saying it doesn't really apply. But
when my daddy speaks, I don't listen.
Yeah, when he said it, it stuck with me as well. And he basically said, "This never ends. This is who I am. I will work. Well, he doesn't even call it work. I will do what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I'm not going to go get a golf club. I'm not going to go get this and just, ride off in the sunset. This is who I am."
Yeah.
And that speaks directly to how I feel about life. It's like, I don't care, man. I'm built this way. This is who I am. Secondly, I would say the ability to be disciplined, but also know what you want in life and not to bend. That group doesn't bend to everyone else. Yeah. And I look, in the workplace, there are times you're soft on people or you're soft on your kids. If you have a certain standard, don't bend. You do you. And that's the one thing I took away from first one.
Yeah. I mean, mine was going to say what Tyler said, and you echoed it a little bit about the work.
Yeah.
And this is another episode, but I think we put hard work, quote unquote hard work, on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Often. And Andy, I guarantee you, it's hard work, but he probably doesn't see it that way because he loves what he's doing. He's found something that he's just
Sal as well.
About. Sal's the same way. Yeah. So it's hard work, but it doesn't feel like it. Again, we put it on a pedestal. So
it's like a badge of honor. I just say I work hard.
Like the grind, the hard work, like that.
Yeah, but how many of us, when we say that, are actually there and really do appreciate, I'm just grinding. Yeah. Right? We all say that. Oh, just super busy. It's a grind right now. It's that season. We all say it. But how many of us actually are in that position and we're like, this is part of it. We're going to keep going. Just keep pushing on. Yeah. Keep pushing forward. Yeah. None of us actually realize that.
Right.
We're MFing everybody because this is hard, man.
I think I'll take away the details matter.
Yeah.
I was literally over the weekend, I found myself, if I would go put something away or clean up the house, I was like, I was lining everything up perfectly. It wasn't just like a thing where I'll just go throw it in the closet. Like, I was literally putting things back where they belong. So the little details is what I'll take away because they pay attention to every little detail.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm going to take away. So, man, it was a fun trip.
It was great.
Glad we went up there.
Thank you to Andy and Sal and Emily and Chris and DJ and the whole First Phorm team.
Big Rich.
And something I want to say before we sign off here, that was also a little bit of a self-serving trip. It got us a bigger following, meaning we have a lot more listeners now.
Yeah.
Thanks to Andy. So if you're new to the show,
thank you
for joining us. First of all, we always ask, if you find value, if you enjoy what we're doing here, to just share it with people.
Yeah.
Text to a couple of buddies, post it on social media. So follow us. We're on every social media. We're on Instagram at Darren Woodson Show. We're on YouTube, The Darren Woodson Show. We're on Twitter, which again, we never look at, but our awesome producer, puts that up. Follow Darren personally.
Yeah.
Darren Woodson on every platform. But we appreciate you guys, especially, all you new listeners who just joined us recently.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us. It was an awesome trip, man.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
We're just getting started.
Getting him down to Dallas.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, everyone.
See you guys Friday.